All righty, welcome back to another episode of Two Plane Sports. We're here today. It's just Brandon and I. Jose just wasn't feeling it today, so we decided we had to get a video out to you guys, and so it's just us two today. We're bringing some recruitment updates. Really, that's all we're going to be talking on this is football recruiting. It seems like you guys really enjoy that. We enjoy talking about it. And we've got, OU had a huge visitor this weekend, and DJ Hicks, the number one defensive lineman in the class. OU made a top four for an offensive tackle. We got some upcoming visitors for the June 3rd Champion Barbecue that we're going to be talking about. So be sure to stick around for this video. But before we get into it, we just want to say we really appreciate it. We're over 4,200 subscribers. We're going for 4,300. Hit the subscribe button. Help us out. And we've got a huge week this week. A lot of videos, a lot of good content is going to be coming your way this week leading up to it and the weeks after following, because there's going to be a lot of domino effects. I feel like there's going to be some commitments over the next month or two that OU's finally going to get the ball rolling. I know we on this show we're a little antsy. We definitely would like to see a commitment or two coming here pretty soon. I think that'll happen. If it doesn't, I think my level of worry might go up a little bit, but right now I'm feeling good. I feel like OU's in a good spot with a lot of kids. So hit that subscribe button, like the video, follow us on our social medias, find us on Apple and Spotify. Everything's linked below. Something also we're going to do is we're planning to do our first live stream, where it'll be an hour. We'll do a question and answering, just kind of hanging out. We're thinking it's going to be Monday. Let me get the date correct. I believe it'll be Monday, June 6th. I'm thinking around 7:30 Central Time. We figured that, we've never done one before. We don't know what the interest would be. This is going to be my beginning of video challenge. I want to hear if you guys are interested in that. Would you want to, for an hour to just come in, message questions and just get our opinions on things, and then we can ask questions to you guys on your opinion. Just something different and something we thought you guys might enjoy. If you would like to do that, I mean, we're more than happy to. Just let us know, comment below, if you would or if you wouldn't. Either way, I totally get it. So I think we're planning to do that. It's right after the Champion Barbecue. A lot of momentum, a lot of things, a lot of questions, a lot of stuff to be talking about. So we're going to do our first live stream that Monday, a week from today, from where you're seeing it. So we'll get into it now. Someone that came up and hasn't been on campus for a little while, but someone that we've been talking about. Gosh, I feel like we've been talking about DJ Hicks now for 6-8 months, even before Brent Venables came. The old staff was recruiting him. I even think it was last summer he was coming up and hanging out on campus. He came up for another visit this weekend. He's a 2023 5-star, number 4 overall, number 1 defensive lineman in the class. He's 6'4", 270 pounds. He's in Katy, Texas now. He just moved down to Katy, Texas. And he was originally from Allen High School. I believe he relocated to be closer to family. I think some of his family moved to South Texas, while some of the family was still up in North Texas. So he made the move down to Katy, Texas. He came up this weekend with a couple of his teammates from Peyto High School, Alex Kilgore, Damian Sanford. They all came up this weekend. I think they came up Friday night, and they came Friday, stayed all day Saturday, and I think they headed home either Saturday evening or Sunday morning, one of the two. So they came up for some unofficial visits. Kilgore and Sanford currently don't hold offers from Oklahoma, but I mean, at the end of the day, if you're getting kids to come up and visit you, regardless, and you build that connection without even having an offer, or, I don't know if they're recruiting them very hard at all. Just because they don't have an offer doesn't mean they're not being recruited. But DJ Hicks came up. He was supposed to come up, I believe, for the spring game, but it didn't end up working out, one reason or another. Brandon, what's your thought on that? I mean, he's got to be the number 1 guy we're trying to get this class, right?
Yeah, wish he could have made the spring game, because that was, as we've mentioned multiple times now, a hell of an environment. And Hicks, the guy we talked about multiple times too. He's got great size. He's 6'4", 270. He had like 22 tackles for loss, 13 sacks last season, but almost 100 tackles too. He finished with 88. So that just speaks to his athleticism and versatility. Not only is he living in the backfield, but he's also capable of, just making a tackle on a run, or, maybe running receivers down even. He's huge, sure very powerful, strong. A little bit concerned that he's still crystal balled at the moment to Texas A&M, just because despite what Jimbo says, we know what's going on down there. Sometimes it's hard to turn down that bag. Although that Texas A&M defensive line that they're building is ridiculous. So I mean, as good as Hicks is, there's going to be a lot of competition and a lot of mouths to feed at Texas A&M at some point in time. That no matter what they're being offered, you gotta not go there. They all can't play at once. It's impossible. There's going to be a lot of transfer portals coming out of Texas A&M at some point among that defensive line soon, and some really, really good dudes just because of they're just buying a shit ton of defensive linemen. Hicks, I agree with you, is priority one on that defensive line, but we talked about David Stone on the show, T.A. Cunningham. This class of defensive linebacker area could be ridiculous. In the 23, 24, 25 classes going forward. Really excited. Hopefully Hicks is somebody that we can sell and keep bringing him to campus and eventually get that commitment.
Yeah, and Hicks, his top five right now, it's pretty clear who his top five are. Michigan State, Miami, Oregon, A&M, and Oklahoma. It seems like from what his 247 says, he's got some officials lined up. This coming weekend, June 3rd, he won't be here for the Champion Barbecue. He's going to Michigan State. The weekend after, the 10th, he's going to Miami. And the weekend after that, the 17th, he's going to visit Oregon. It's unfortunate that he won't be there for the Champion Barbecue, but at least he came up for, the Memorial Day weekend. He posted some pictures of him and Todd Bates, and then some of his teammates. Kilgore posted a picture, I believe, of their visit this weekend. It looked like they had a good time. But, he's taken these three officials this summer, and it seems as though A&M and Oklahoma are going to be getting their officials in the fall for a certain game, just depending on, whether it's in September, October, I'm not sure. But I'd imagine with that intel of his three other schools during the summer and the two in the fall, it seems pretty clear who the top two schools are. It's Oklahoma and A&M. Again, I feel like we've been seeing this recruiting battle. OU and A&M are going after the same kids. A&M now, they've got him in Katy, Texas. Katy's not quite as far as Allen was to College Station, so that has to help. But again, at the end of the day, like you said, no matter how many millions or whatever, hundreds of thousands of dollars, if you take that and you still can't get on the field and it's damaging your chances to go play in the NFL, for a few $100,000 less, you go play at Oklahoma or whatever the number is, you could be a first round pick and make millions of dollars. So and whether it's at Oklahoma or wherever he ends up going, that has to play in a factor into these kids in the 23 and 24 class, depending, after seeing what they did in 2022. I mean, it's ridiculous how much they put together in that class. I really think that between OU and A&M with Hicks, I truly feel it's a coin flip. I don't feel like anyone's a clear leader. I don't legitimately buy Michigan State, Miami, or Oregon. I think they're contenders, but I don't think at the end of the day he's really going to pick that. I mean, all three schools are across the country, far away. A&M and Oklahoma are close. His family can make a road trip to either one of these schools. Todd Bates and Hicks have an extremely good and long relationship. I mean, Bates has been recruiting him since he's been at Clemson. They're really close. And I think since Bates is there, this is why Oklahoma is really in a good spot with him. And then you think about it, and then you have Venables with them. I think really at the end of the day, OU has a legitimate shot. Whether they'll get him or not, it's tough to say because I don't think he's signed until early National Signing Day. But I think OU has a very, very good shot of getting him, especially if he comes on campus for another unofficial sometime between now and his actual official visit, and then he comes up for his official. I think they're going to be in a good spot. I don't think he's got another visit lined up with A&M quite yet. As long as he's not going to A&M a whole lot, I feel like OU is going to be in a really good spot for him. Do you have any thoughts on him before we move on to the next guy?
No, just hopefully that official visit goes well. I have no doubt that Sooner Nation will show up. The stadium will be packed, which will be a cool environment. It's good to have him on a visit where we're actually playing a game and he can see all that versus just, where they're not playing a game. A&M's going to show up to their games too, Kyle Field. So, hopefully it's a game that it's like the UTEP game or something. We just beat the brakes off somebody and it all looks good. You never want to play those K-State type sneaky games and play poorly in front of these level of recruits. So, Sooner Nation will show up. Hopefully we beat the brakes off whoever it is and everything goes well.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to be a legitimate battle. I mean, it's just going to be, it's 6 months before he signs. That's forever in recruiting. So just because he sways one way or another between now and then, I'm not going to feel 100% either way until he puts his name on the dotted line. So we'll move on to the next guy, is Logan Howl. Logan Howl, he's 6'7", 280 pounds. He's an offensive tackle from Princeton, New Jersey. He's in the 2023 class. His composite rating from 247, he's not ranked, but just the 247 rankings, they have him as a 3-star. He just recently released his top 4, which is Iowa, Miami, and Michigan, and Oklahoma. It seems as though that OU and Iowa are his top 2 schools. I think we talked about Howland right around the spring game because he got his offer. He came out for an unofficial visit. He got his offer during the spring game weekend, and he just kind of popped up. And I didn't really have him on my radar until obviously he came out for the visit, and then he got the offer. And it seems like that they have just jumped tremendously up to his top 4, and I really think it's a top 2 of OU in Iowa. And the reason why I think Iowa, I don't know, Iowa's got they produce offensive linemen, so it's not like whether it's OU can't really say, well, Iowa doesn't produce anyone. I mean, they've produced a lot of good offensive linemen over the last 5 to 10 years. But his quarterback in high school, at Hun High School, he is committed to Iowa. So he has that connection there. And I know Iowa, they've got the record, the track record of it. He's got the quarterback. It's going to be tough. But he does have his official visit set up. It's going to be OU first, which is this weekend, and then it's Michigan, then it's Miami, and then it's Iowa. So he's saving Iowa for his last visit, which I think is the 24th of June. And then he should probably announce his commitment shortly after, or early July, I'd imagine. I don't think he's going to drag this out for very long. I think he's going to make his decision. For a kid that really isn't highly rated, there's some good programs that are recruiting him hard. Obviously with Michigan, Miami, and Iowa, and Oklahoma. He's already 6'7". What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you with the Iowa thing. It's tough. It's going to be tough to beat them out. Him having his teammate committed there is a tremendous help for Iowa. It's a cool area. They do a good job as well. Their fans care. Iowa will be tough to beat out. They are. And as you mentioned, they do produce pretty damn good offensive linemen and some pretty damn good tight ends at that school. So it'll be tough. But 6'7", 280, yeah, that's a lot of fun, and that's a lot to work with. That definitely helps load up that two-plane sports that we're trying to build here. That's a big boy. If he can, you really mold into that size and become a real good run blocker, pass blocker. If he can get downfield on screen passes and things like that nature, I mean, that's a big boy. If you catch a screen pass and you got him just with a full head of steam coming at you, you kind of get the hell out of the way. I know I would. That's like getting hit by a small car, essentially, if he puts it on you just right. Yeah, obviously, we love the position. I love the size. I think it's going to be a battle with Iowa, as you mentioned. Hopefully, Bill Bedenbaugh can do his magic, because it's not as if Bill Bedenbaugh doesn't have his own resume to point to and be like, hey, man, I know Iowa's done it too, but we've got a couple all pro bowl type players in the league as well that played here. And they just won, and they won the Joe Moore Award not long ago for the best offensive line in the country. Bill Bedenbaugh's got his own resume, I think, that he can point to and hopefully win this battle.
Yeah, and we talk about on this show a lot of recruiting really starts 2 years prior to the signing day. I mean, OU's already starting to recruit 2025 kids. So that's, 3 years. So Logan, he's becoming a little bit of a late bloomer. It seems like he's popped on to a lot of teams' radar. Just looking at the, unofficial visits and the offer timelines, his earliest offer of his top 4 is Miami, February 28th. And he took an unofficial there on March 18th. Iowa didn't offer until April 1st. Then Oklahoma offered on April 22nd. Michigan offered May 19th. So Michigan, they have not gotten an unofficial visit from, according to 247. So he's taken his first visit and probably his only visit to Michigan. So I feel like, they're getting visited because of their reputation with Coach Moore there. They're good. I just feel like it takes more than one visit to really win a kid over. And OU's really kind of at a level playing field with the other schools. I mean, offering on April 22nd compared to April 1st isn't a huge difference. It's not 6, 8, 9 months difference. I mean, it's just a couple weeks. So really it's going to come down to, these relationships have just really blossomed lately. He's been getting picked up more by bigger schools. I feel like OU, if they really push them, they really want them, I think they can end up winning out on them. It's just going to be, it seems like distance isn't a big deal to him, being from New Jersey, and then his top 4 is everywhere but the Northeast. So I hope OU ends up winning out on him. At the end of the day, it'll be just nice to know where he's going, because he's going to make his decision earlier. We're not going to be having to drag this discussion into November about where is Logan going to go. Well, he's going to probably be decided within the next month ish, give or take 6 weeks at most. So it'll be nice to know, and it'll help OU readjust and who to prioritize as they go later into this cycle. But someone that I feel like they have a legitimate shot. The time, isn't a big factor here. I just think it's the programs and how hard they recruit. So I think OU's got a legitimate shot. It's just Iowa's going to be tough to beat. So we'll move on to the next guy, talking about offensive linemen, Bryson Sanders. Bryson Sanders, he's a 2023 4-star, number 292 overall, number 13 interior offensive lineman in the class. He's already 6'5", 280 pounds. He's from Chattanooga, Tennessee. We've talked about him, and it's been a while since we've talked about him. He put OU up and towards the top of his commitment, or not his commitment, top schools. His top schools are Tennessee, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, LSU. And I think the last time we talked about him, I hadn't, gone back and watched the video, but LSU and Ole Miss were really kind of the top 2 schools, and Tennessee was right there with him. And OU was kind of a clear-cut number 4. In his recruitment, it seems like LSU has totally fallen off. He was going to take an official visit to LSU. That's not going to happen anymore. So that's one less school to compete against. He's currently crystal balled to Ole Miss, which I don't think it has very, high confidence. He just took an official visit to Tennessee this weekend. I saw him post some pictures on social media. He did take an official visit to Ole Miss in early April. And then OU is going to have him for an official visit on June 3rd. So OU's getting the last visit. This kid's a versatile guy. He plays, he competes in track and field. OU, while they might not get Logan Howl, or they might not get Bryson Sanders, but they have a legitimate shot. Probably odds are to land one of them. And, the fact that you're getting his last official visit, and as we're recording this, which was Sunday afternoon, coming off of his Tennessee visit, there hasn't been a rush of crystal balls or a bunch of tweets that would really alarm like he's going to go play for Tennessee just because he's from Chattanooga and he really likes him. So that's good news as of right now recording this. It might totally change, but I guess I'll say if this video comes out and there's a bunch of crystal balls for them to go to Tennessee, OU might be behind the 8 ball there, and it might be kind of tough to beat. But if you don't see a bunch of momentum with Tennessee, I think OU can close this out. He's committing on June 23rd. Get him on campus on the 3rd, commits on the 23rd. It's 3 weeks. Close them out. What do you think?
Agree. Close it out. You looking up his profile and everything he's done. He's another guy with great size, 280. So he's very similar to Howland in size. He's just a couple inches shorter. But again, I mean, that is loading the plane up. That's 560 pounds that we're talking about with to the last two guys. And they're still in high school. That's absurd. But with him, with Sanders, he's got experience playing both tackle and even kicked inside to the guard spot sometimes as well. With that size, you typically would probably think tackle at 280, but I mean, a guard pulling at 6'5", 280 with the athletic ability to do that is another scary sight. If you're a linebacker and he's shooting through a hole and he's coming right at you again, you're getting hit by a small train or by a small car. It's not fun. He's a hotty toddy lean, as you mentioned, or crystal ball at the moment, but we can change all that again with Bill Beadbo and his resume. Let's hope it wins out. I think that it is good to have that official visit, as you mentioned, just 3 weeks before he's making his college decision. I think this recruiting weekend, the barbecue, everything about it is going to go very, very well. I think we're going to see a lot of commits coming from this barbecue. Hopefully Bryson Sanders is just one of them.
Yeah, and it's been really nice because when we first talked about him, because he got his offer, it hasn't been that long ago. He got his offer. He did visit March 25th for that weekend. And again, another guy that OU hasn't had a huge, long relationship with him, but it's just the program, it's Coach B, and they were able to jump way up. You look at, he got an offer from LSU January 27th. OU offered on February 24th. I think Tennessee has been the consistent school here. I mean, being from Chattanooga, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, Chattanooga is right down the road. I mean, I'm just scrolling through right now. He got his offer from Tennessee on March 22nd, 2021. So the fact that it seems like there's a legitimate shot, he's got to be a little hesitant with Tennessee. And I don't blame him, because Tennessee has been back like Texas for the last 10 years and they've just flopped every single time. And OU has just kind of been consistent, and he might just fall into a lap where he's a little leaning one way. You get him on campus, you close like Brent Venables can and Coach B can, everything goes well. I feel pretty confident with him as we're recording this right now. There hasn't been a ton of momentum towards Tennessee while he's been there a lot. I feel like OU can really close this one out. I believe it. Even if OU just lands one of the two, that's good enough for me. Just let's get this offensive line built. Someone to join Josh Bates, and then you think of Green as well, hopefully joining the fold. This offensive line, there could be 4 or 5 guys in this class, and it can be an offensive line for the future for Jackson Arnold and for any 2024 quarterbacks that OU ends up landing. These kids could be really, really good. 6'5" as an interior offensive lineman. Granted, I don't know if he'll play tackle at OU, but 6'5" as a guard is quite the size. So filling that plane up, like you said. So that's all I've got. A little shorter video today. But we're planning to probably release, we're at least going to release 3 videos this week. There might be a 4th one this week. So if you hadn't already, turn that notification bell, just because we might be pushing out more content. Brandon, do you have an end video challenge?
Yeah, I'm just going to use your beginning of video challenge. We'll just keep it at the same time because we have not yet done a live. So again, yeah, just kind of what Brum said. What do you guys think of the live idea? What are some things that you'd like to see us talk about? Doesn't have to be football related. I mean, if we go live for an hour, we don't have to talk senior football or recruiting for a straight hour. We can just, kind of just, as Brum mentioned, kind of just hang out with each other. It'll be good to get to know each other a little bit more. Just ask whatever questions we want. Yeah, just what do you guys think of the live, and what are some things that you specifically would like to see or discuss?
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good point. I should have said that in the beginning as well. But are there any specific topics we should be prepared for? I mean, anything that you want to have some research done on a certain player or a certain position group or whatever you want, just, put that below, and we might have like a little of an agenda or itinerary for us to to do on a live stream. We just never done it before, so we don't really know what to expect. So if you made it this far, hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell, like I said, so you know when we go on live stream, maybe more extra, a few extra videos this week. Follow us on our social medias. Everything's at Two Plane Sports. Find us on Apple and Spotify. Everything's linked below. And we will catch you guys probably Wednesday, maybe Tuesday. It just depends on what this week holds for us and how much recruiting info we need to talk about. So we'll catch you next time. Thanks.